The last name on the panel is Mr. Rowdy Bijland, a seasoned digital strategist who will share insights into digital business development and innovation at the FiNext conference today here, drawing from his extensive experience in guiding leaders and organizations towards sustainable value creation and impactful transformation. Put your hands together for Mr. Rowdy Bijland. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I'm handing it over to the moderator of the panel, Mr. Sriram. Over to you, sir. I'll hand over the microphone if someone needs one. I think we have enough, right?
Hello? Yes. Thank you very much. So, yeah. I think this panel discussion will be very interesting because the sequence, if you can see the sequence of events that happened like from last one and a half hour. So most of the topics that they are talking is about more of innovation and entrepreneurship, especially the last topic is very, very interesting because they discussed about many things like having robots in the banks and talking about that insurance claims and those kind of topics which really are part of innovation in fintech. And because of the sequence, I think this particular panel will be more interesting because we will be discussing about the cream of all this that we are discussing, and especially from last 2 days, I was listening about AI at least 100 times. So that's the reason why AI is definitely part of innovation. So I think this particular discussion that we will be doing right now will be the cream of all these discussions, where we'll be focusing on digital innovation and entrepreneurship. And because you guys have a lot of experience doing that, so I think what the takeaway that we can give to all the entrepreneurs out there watching us is what kind of innovation that the entrepreneur should do it. Because if it's an entrepreneur, obviously they're expecting that him to do a change. So obviously to do a change, the opportunity is to innovate, and the innovation will definitely come through multiple places. And especially banking is very interesting because the other sector, compared to other sectors, banking, fintech is one of the interesting which I see because we deal with money every day, and we can see that people engage with all these digital products day to day. So that's the reason why I think the topic will be very interesting, and the takeaways will be kind of what kind of innovations will be helpful for the entrepreneurs to go forward. So I will be starting my discussion with you, Rowdy, about my first question will be, what is the current state of digital innovation at this current state? And especially because we are seeing, we came from, especially our age, where I was childhood, we came with the age where the bank is very far, and now we're talking about people not going to the banks. So we are in a very good age. Last 20-25 years is great. So I just want you to tell me, how do we came here and what kind of innovations happened so far?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sriram, and so glad to be here. And in the last 2 days, I've seen so many entrepreneurship. I've seen so many digital innovation. And if you talk about innovation, actually, you should take a step back, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There are more types of innovation, right? You can, let's say, determine what we call efficiency innovation. In the previous panel, they were talking about it, to innovate existing processes that you have, that could be, back office processes or front office processes in order to be able to enhance those processes and to make them better. You can identify sustaining innovation, where you basically look at what I would say existing digital products, existing digital services or services that you have, and you try to enhance them, for example, with new capabilities or with new features, right? Just this morning, again, I was looking at my banking app on my mobile telephone, just existing services in a total other format, which is sustaining innovation. But what I also have seen here in the last 2 days is actually growth innovation. And when we are talking about growth innovation, we are looking to new value propositions. We are looking to new business models. We are seeking to new ventures, to new fintech ventures in order to really transform, let's say, the financial landscape. And I found that very, very interesting. Now, getting back to your question about the current state, indeed, over the recent years, we have seen many developments, and I think we have touched upon them in this conference. If you talk about digital banking like Revolut or Chime, it's incredible to see how those digital banks bring, the finance to individuals. If you look to lending platforms, peer-to-peer lending platforms, where, the access to capital, in fact, is democratized, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you're seeking for capital, if you compare that with 20 years ago, today that is much more easier, not thinking about crowdfunding. And of course, we can look up to blockchain and cryptocurrency. So there are many things happening. Now, if you are a business leader in the audience, or an entrepreneur, or an executive, or maybe a founder of a startup, and you are facing these digital disruptions and the current state of where we are in today, then you can ask yourself the question, am I going to resist this change and doing business as usual, or am I going to embrace innovation? And I'm happy to discuss that. And I think that is where we are standing today, seeing all those beautiful initiatives.
Thank you very much. That's very nice. Especially, as you said, mobile banking, especially if you go back to London, one of the biggest innovation in London is if you go to the tube, you don't need to have a card as well. You can use your contactless phone to travel from anywhere to anywhere in London. So that is one of the best innovation I had seen while I was in London. So you don't need to carry anything, just a mobile phone with enough charging, by the way, so that you can go anywhere and come back. So you can use contactless to pay anything as well. So that is great innovations happening in fintech area. Now my next question to Neha for you is, in similar way, what are the opportunities that you see in digital innovation and entrepreneurship? And what kind of opportunities you see in the future?
So financial industry is actually having a lot of advancement. We see spatial advancement with the artificial intelligence and the blockchain. There are so many products already in the market. And currently, if we see the Dubai landscape, the fintech companies are growing up to 20% every single year. And this is a home of more than 500 plus fintech companies. Now, if we talk about why Dubai is going so high with the fintech companies, because thanks to DIFC Hive, because they are accelerating different fintech companies. Also, Dubai Future Acceleration, Emirates NBD Innovation Hub, because they are helping all the entrepreneurs to understand the current landscape of traditional businesses and helping them with the implementation of the right technologies, especially the use cases of what the banks and the traditional businesses need right now. So, if I talk about the artificial intelligence and the blockchain implementation, there are certain use cases which I see have a high potential of entrepreneurship is digital identification system, because this platform currently is being employed by almost all the UAE banks like HSBC, Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, and also like Emirates NBD, and there are much more about it. Not only this, if we see that there are robo-advisors, wealth management, portfolio management, and also like prediction to what can be your next investment and what assets you can actually buy, which can give you high or low returns or high or low risk appetite, I would put it this way, depending upon your current credit score and your mentality to take the investment decisions. Not only this, if we see the credit score as well as which can be linked to your KYC, and this can be given as an open banking API to different financial services and the product marketplaces. Now, if I talk about different startups which are already doing very good in the market, are Revolut, which gives the capability of to trade in the market in terms of the cryptocurrency, ETFs, stocks, and so on. Other than that, there are several other startups. For example, if I say Klarna or Tabby, which are providing the solutions like people can have easy borrowing and they can pay for the services and the products in the installments. So now, which is very easy for people to do that. And this doesn't involve any collateral or any of such things. It can be basically done on your credit score. So which is a very important thing, and banks are supporting that. So it can have you like a flash loan. And I think these are the different things where innovation can be possible. Other innovations are digital wallet, digital banking services, and we can say customer support also, which can be automated, and then people don't have to wait in lines because they can get the whole answers and everything, whatever they need, really very fast with the use of artificial intelligence and the blockchain in the current fintech segment. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Very nice. Do you want to add something Rowdy, on this?
No, absolutely. I cannot more agree with what you told, definitely. I mean, you see, of course, the development of those technologies, and I think everybody is aware that this, technology is developing very, very fast. And if you take it from an entrepreneurship perspective, every time the question comes on the table, how can technology be an enabler to build new value propositions, to build new business models, to drive, new ventures, as you just mentioned. And absolutely, they are in many areas where you can think of. You can look at the value chain. Value chains are changing. I mean, I give an example of the automotive industry, where car manufacturers are taking direct connection with consumers, which is direct-to-consumer distribution. It brings a lot of opportunity for embedded finance. I take the customer experience, and expectations are changing massively. We have heard here panel speakers explaining, and you also were mentioning that how customer experience is changing. That brings a lot of opportunity for digital innovation and entrepreneurship. Not to talk about artificial intelligence and data, the shift to data-driven decision making. It's not about proactiveness. It's not about predictiveness. It's about prescriptiveness. So we are going into a new era where we see, in combination with experience, hyper-personalization, where data-driven decision making is key. Netflix is doing that already on a day-to-day basis. If you have a Netflix account, they tell you precisely what you want to see. They present you the content, and they are creating the content from which they know that everybody wants to watch it. So these are typical examples of where you can drive digital innovation and entrepreneurship, to fill in what you already mentioned, which absolutely is, key point.
Do you want to add anything for that?
Yeah, sure. So I think with all the innovation that has come in the past 10 years, I think some of the important trends that are shaping now, like one important area where the innovation would be required would be regulatory tech. Like say for example in India, when we are talking about lending, a lot of regulations and guidelines are still driven by Reserve Bank of India to make sure that the customers are protected when this entire digital lending is happening across customer. So regulatory, when we are talking about startups, making sure that those guidelines are met, making sure those compliances are done, that is where the innovation is required. That is where the new startups will come in, I believe, to add value there. And second, I guess a lot of investment has to now come into the cyber security space more to ensure that the data privacy and also the transactions are secure. I think in terms of the AI implementation, the implementation has to come to reduce the false positives, to define a specific number of events where immediate actions are required in order for the organizations to be more efficient when they are implementing AI in the cyber security space. So I think these are the two new areas where a lot of investment will now come in order to ensure that the startups who are doing innovations are well supported by the regulatory as well as the security aspect of it.
Okay, thank you very much. So that brings me one more question for me, because as we know, if we are running fast, it's good, but obviously there's a risk. Okay, because too much fast we are running, I think especially we are dealing with banking, because other sectors are also having equal risk, but I think banking is carrying the biggest risk. Because if you run too fast, especially we are coming from traditional banking, and other banking, if you're running too fast, obviously there is a risk. So that opens me next question for Gautham. Gautham, I want to ask you, what are the threats and the challenges that you would have in digital innovation and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, as Rowan was talking about data-driven decision making, I was thinking about the potential issues which we might face while we are talking about digital innovation and entrepreneurship. The first thing which came to my mind was the data privacy, right? So now we are in the world where nothing seems to be private, so all our privacies are intruded. That is the first thing which we should be cautious about. And the second thing is the cybersecurity. And we live in a world today where all things are hacked. And even we saw news with Facebook and with Comcast and many popular institutions where the data is getting stealed. And even the institutions are suffering, like how and where did the data exactly go for the customers. So they're losing many customers there. So that is one potential issue to be concerned of there as well. And one other thing to consider too is the legacy systems. Some of the organizations, like most of the banking organizations, they still rely on mainframe technologies. So mainframe technologies, like it's an old server. And so despite it being a popular stream of language, many organizations are slowly shifting to AWS, cloud, and other data-driven platforms. So this is one of the potential legacy issue. So there are many organizations are finding way to get over with it. But this is also something which needs to be considered while performing this shift. And one popular thing I also saw while working in consulting is some of the consulting firms, they also try to implement a common strategy or a common way to solve a problem and get to the solution. But oftentimes it need not work because each of the clients, they have an independent or niche which they will like to fulfill. And if we try to automate it, like digitalize it, then the many organizations can lose their clients, and it can become a potential issue as well.
Okay, thank you very much. But I have a specific question for you people, especially because I can see a lot of, because the more the usage, the more fraud we can identify. So especially in the fraud detection area, in fintech, what kind of innovation can help? In especially identifying the fraud and mitigating that fraud, fraud transactions or whatever it is, even it can be impersonating yourself. So what kind of innovation that you guys can recommend in fraud detection area?
Especially in fraud detection areas, like many of the different quantitative and advanced statistical models are being developed by different organizations, and even we are also trying to implement some of them, like in consulting, to prevent all those fraudulent transactions. So some of them being like developing advanced like quantitative or ML model, so which will try to detect the false positives and able to get into the data accurately. That being said, it is also in process, and many organizations are also trying to get more accurate data on that.
Okay, so you're using AI for that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want to add?
We have to sometimes switch a little bit. Now, not particularly on the fraud, but looking to threats and challenges also from an entrepreneurial perspective, because absolutely, as you mentioned, also, from a cybersecurity, data privacy, compliance, rules, regulations, these are, threats or at least challenges that you need to face from an external perspective. But if you're an entrepreneur and you try to build your digital venture, what I see also a lot of times in practice is how do you bring an idea into reality, right? You have a brilliant idea and you see, how that could evolve over time. But to bring that into reality is something that needs a very strong mindset. You need to be adaptable. You need to have the right mindset. You have to make sure that you will be able to manage that. And in order to overcome that, you see that you can create strict planning tools for that. You can develop, certain operation models or iterative development with rapid prototyping, that you start to bring something fast to the market, because the sooner you can get out of the building, the faster you can start to collect evidence. And evidence is very important in digital innovation and entrepreneurship, because you want to validate if your idea is really valuable and can create and bring the value that you're seeking for, or the impact you would like to create. And that is typically where you also find the balance between risk and return, or risk and reward. So looking to customer desirability, right? Looking to business viability, looking to technical feasibility, is also the balance to find the risk and the reward, and the investment versus what do you get back on the long term. In the previous session, we saw somebody talking about the failure of startups, right? 90%. That's not only here, it's everywhere. But because of the evidence, find the evidence if you want to innovate. That's one that I wanted to add to it.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to add?
Yes, I would like to add from digital lending perspective. So in India, we have implemented fraud scheduling box. So there, say for example, a lot of banks and NBFCs have evolved, where initially customers were submitting, say suppose, a fake PAN card or a fake Aadhaar card. So now those tools are developed, and also there is an integration with the regulatory depositories like NSDL and CDSL, where you can verify the KYC of the customer. There is a centralized ID for each customer, so you ensure that the fake PAN card or Aadhaar card is not getting registered. Apart from that, what we also observe that a lot of times one customer with the same credential will apply multiple times, and will try to take more loans in the same names by submitting different addresses or different office addresses. So now there are tools which can immediately highlight that, say for example, if this mobile number or this email ID has applied for a loan before, and if it was rejected, and how many number of loans where this customer has given reference check. So that helps to prevent loans being issued to the same customer multiple times. And I guess recently what we have also observed that the skip tracing has become very important in collection. So where the customer has ran away and now you need to collect the money. I think in lending, more than the disbursal, it's more important to collect the money. So when the customer has absconded, you have to figure out how, using skip tracing, you can identify the footprint of the customers across social media accounts, across employment data, and across the provident fund data, in order to figure out where the customer is and then recover the money. So these are some of the tools that we have implemented.
I don't know that. I should be very careful now. Okay, but this is very good, innovation actually. So especially, when you're talking about India, when we are dealing about PAN cards, we're talking about millions of people. So one thing I would add is to your context, that not only just identifying the tools, but how do we manage the load of so much of transactions happening, like so much of people scanning their PAN cards. There's a lot of load. So one thing I want to add is look into the other parts like cloud technologies, and using something like advanced cloud technologies like Kubernetes, or for example, that kind of things will help us to not only digitally innovate on one side, the other side is how we can balance the load using these latest technologies like cloud technologies, which is, I think, which can help on a digital innovation side. The next question is, I think we covered the past and we covered the present, but I want to go into future now. So I want all the panel to ask, this question is about future. So what is the future of digital innovation and entrepreneurship? And can you tell me what will happen in the future? Putting that time glasses on your face and explain me what is the future of digital innovation and entrepreneurship.
Okay, so I think the future is much more advanced, which we can imagine right now. I think there are certain startups which have already exploring about the researches about the real estates, as well as like how they can tokenize the gold bars, etc. For example, if we talk about the HSBC Bank recently, they have actually tokenized the whole gold bar. So now you can buy and sell gold bars with the dealer as a HSBC inside the bank. So the whole gold bar system is now tokenized. Now, if we talk about real estate tokenization, people can buy and sell, rent their whole properties as a token. So this is another tokenization which we are implementing also with one of the project we are working with. Now, if we talk about, as she have already explained about the KYC system being like having a lot of issues with the cybersecurity. So there is one solution which we have developed before, which have like, you can put the data into the blockchain, and this can be accessed directly with the artificial intelligence systems in place. So now whoever is like trying to have the APIs of this KYC systems, this will directly authenticate between multiple systems in place. So then you cannot have mutable system because you are using blockchain for that. So blockchain will bring not only the transparency, security, but also it will bring the complete traceability of the whole system. So now the collection, everything becomes so easy with that.
Yeah, okay, you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key elements that you mentioned here is digital transformation. Digital transformation will continue. So if this will be blockchain solutions or mobile banking or robo-advising, this will continue. I think another thing that we will see, and it's already starting, embedded finance. I have heard it a couple of times during the conference as well, where we see financial services implemented in non-financial services. Especially when we look to e-commerce, that's going to increase those type of services. I think will have absolute a future where you see, I think you mentioned Klarna just a couple of minutes ago, buy now, pay later solutions, in-apps payment solutions. Personalization, customization is something that we will see with artificial intelligence. We talked about it already also during the conference when we are talking about hyper-personalization, some things that we are going to see. Open banking, we are just talking in the previous forum also, how that is evolving over time, where data integration and sharing is shared through APIs. It's something that we are going to see. But most importantly, and that is something I really want to stress this point, that I have seen also during the conference, is financial inclusion. What I have learned during this conference is there are so many people around the world do not have access to financial services. And if there's something primary for everybody, then it's financial services. So I think fintech is in the perfect position to bring these new digital solutions to all those people, this underserved population, and to give them access to financial services so they can build up a life. And another thing I wanted to stress also, what I see in the future, is sustainability investing. Yesterday I saw somebody presenting, I think it was white hydrogen, so, if I remember it correctly. This is a typical example where a platform is created where investors can invest in sustainability. Beautiful examples. I think that is really what the future holds. And for digital innovation and entrepreneurship, I think it's everything you want in order to drive new value and meaningful impact.
Yeah, perfect. So that's a really good point, because digital innovations are happening all over the world. And I mean, as I said, in India, example, you take UPI payment, which is not in UK, and people are trying to implement that. Like that, open banking, especially in UK, even though if you want to rent a house, we need to use open banking to give the credentials to the landlord so that he can check our history. So this is all the innovations happening across the world. But what I would suggest is this kind of forums where the world is coming together. Because if you see this forum, especially last 2 days, I can see the people coming from Canada, New York, London and Malaysia, and you guys are UAE, and as well as India, Bangladesh. So I can see that people are coming all over the world in this kind of conferences, and this is the place where we can discuss about the innovation happening in one country, because you can't get that information on Google, or you won't be able to get, but that innovations can really exchange in the platform like this, especially Dubai, because the world is here. So if we can exchange our ideas and innovations happening across the world and come here and participate at least once a year, then we can actually exchange what is happening, especially innovation, and then we can go back as a consulting firms or banking firms, we can go back and recommend to the people, and this is exactly the platform and the location where we are right now is the best place to discuss about the innovations and exchange and go back to our homes and implement them. Perfect, thank you very much. And I got one last question. Because we got all C-level people here and we got a lot of great people here who are leaders, entrepreneurs and C-level people. So what is the recommendations that you give to these people who are seeing online as well as people sitting here? What kind of recommendations that you will give in the digital innovation spaces?
I think, so one, definitely, I think the key trend that we are seeing between the legacy companies and the new startup is the partnerships, right? Say, for example, in lending space, initially a lot of consumers and merchants who were not getting financing from the larger banks and NBFCs because they didn't have the assets or they didn't have the data which was digitized. Now that problem has been resolved by fintech. Now those data sets, those customers are online, making transactions online. So through partnership, the beautiful thing that is happening is, say for example, in India we are driving a lot of co-lending, where 10% of the money is put in by a small NBFC and 90% of the money is coming from a larger bank or larger NBFC which has the capital strength. So here it is a wonderful integration where fintech is using their strength in originating a customer, analyzing a customer with the help of the AI tool, and then the larger ecosystem which has the required capital to provide to those customers are providing the capital. So I think one recommendation is the more and more we partner in enabling this delivery of financial products and services to the untapped consumers, I think that is something that we have to see more and more in across.
Very good, great recommendation. Collaborations, partnerships, great. Okay, you want to tell something, Gautham?
Yeah, my recommendation would be like getting in trend with the latest technology, like getting to know about what exactly it offers, provided with also knowing about the cons of it, like what exactly you'll be running into if you're not understanding the technology properly, and able to articulate the data and get to tell a compelling story would make an excellent entrepreneur and a very good institution.
Okay, thank you very much. Rowdy?
Thank you. I would have three. First of all, of course, embrace digital innovation and entrepreneurship. As we started, this question is without a doubt. Follow a holistic and strategic approach for success. So keep on following a holistic approach with a total overview. And last but not least, of course, bring the positive change to people and planet, because you have the opportunity, if you have that, driving the innovation with the entrepreneurship and bring it there where it's needed. Pay it forward.
Neha, you want to add?
Yeah, so I would more emphasize on the education and training of all the business sectors who have the employees, like large-scale employees. They should be more educated and trained as per the new technologies which are being introduced. Also, the government official has to be like trained about what are the new technologies coming up, so they can absorb more products which are actually innovating in the market. Other than that, I would say that there are several ways with the educational program, training programs, which the government can also conduct, along with like the acceleration part, where the startups actually need to know that what exactly they have to build and what type of things are permittable depending upon the regulatories. So this information need to be known to all these entrepreneurs.
Okay, and last from my side, the recommendation is keep your ears open. And we need to have right advisories, and also keep your ears open. Go to as many conferences as possible, and this conference is amazing. I would recommend that to come to this conference regularly, and where we can actually have a great speakers and great innovation. You can learn a lot. So my recommendation is to go to this kind of conferences and participate as much as possible, so that it really helps your company and others as well. Now we will open the platform for questions. Anyone have any questions on this? What are the topics that we discussed? Any questions? Okay, I think we did very good. We covered a lot, so that's why no questions. But I think we've done a great job, I think. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I think it was a great job. I think very simply put, but very concise and very precise as well. So well done to you all. Thank you so much for participating in this panel discussion. Give them a warm round of applause, please.